Today on MTG Unpacked, we're getting stuck into the Doctor Who Commander deck, Masters of Evil. So this is all the villains, the Daleks, Cyberman, Missy, and so forth. So this is a blue, black, red deck. So let's check out what we get here. So of course the Plane Chase cards, we get 10 of those. A 100 card deck with 50 new cards. 10 double-sided tokens, planar die, foliage, display, commander, life wheel, deck box, strategy, insert, and reference card. We also get a collector booster sample pack. So those are pretty cool. So let's get into this and looking forward to it. This would probably be my second favorite, just going by the theme. So let's see what this is all about. So we've got our Plane Chase cards, a deck box, and there we go. So we get some nice punch outs here. We've got Davros, the leader of the Daleks, and punch out cards. Alright, and then our planar die. This is pretty cool. So this goes along with the Plane Chase cards. So we've got the Planeswalker symbol here, and then the Chaos symbol, and blank star-filled sides on the rest. Okay, and then we'll take a look here what this is all about. So playing the deck, so we can read about that. We'll get rewards for the opponent's losing life. That's pretty cool. Commander rules and Plane Chase, so you can read what that is all about. And then on the other side we got Missy here, some lore about that character, an incarnation of the Master, and Davros, the leader of the Daleks, and tells you about why they are blue, black, and red aligned. Alright, and then we have our deck box. So Missy there, and of course the life wheel. So this thing goes up to 20 on that side and up to 40 on the other side. Alright, so let's see what we've got in this envelope. So a collector booster sample pack. So this is the only element of randomness in this box. So you're going to pull different things than I do. Let's see what we got here. Makeover montage. And a foil Alistair the Brigadier, the extended art version. Very nice. And a Weeping Angel. That's one of the better storylines in the series if you've never checked it out. Okay, so now we've got the Plane Chase cards. These giant oversized things. And by the way, this deck is currently going for about $58 US on TCG Player. So a little bit pricier than it should be, but hopefully the prices will settle down a bit. We start off here with City of the Daleks. So the plane is Skaro. Whenever you attack, target opponent loses X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. And whenever chaos ensues, for each opponent, you create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace that attacks that opponent this turn, if able. Those tokens gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So the Daleks, one of the more awesome villains in the series. We have the moon base on the moon. Low gravity. All creatures have pay 2. This creature gains flying until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. That's fun. Whenever chaos ensues, for each opponent, choose up to one target creature card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield face down under your control. They are 2/2 Cybermen artifact creatures. Alright. And Dalek Intensive Care. Playing the Dalek Asylum. Okay, I guess this is where the sick Daleks go. When you planeswalk to Dalek Intensive Care and at the beginning of your upkeep, exile a non-Dalek creature you control. If you do, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace. It gains haste until end of turn. And whenever chaos ensues, target Dalek you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Next up we have Bowie Base 1 on the plane of Mars. At the beginning of your end step, go target creature controlled by the player to your left. So until your next turn, that creature attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. And whenever chaos ensues, target creature gains Island Walk until end of turn, so it can't be blocked as long as defending player controls an island. Oh dear, then we have the Doctor's Tomb on the plane of Trenzalore. If a creature would die, instead exile it, and that creature's controller loses 2 life. And whenever chaos ensues, redistribute any number of players' life totals. So each of those players gets 1 life total back. Okay, that's pretty crazy. And the Aplan Moratorium, or what is this? Mortarium. Oh, that's a mouthful. Plane Alfava Metraxis has Byzantium radiation. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an exposure counter on a plane Mortarium. Then you lose life equal to the number of exposure counters on it. And whenever chaos ensues, create 2/2/2 black alien angel artifact creature tokens with first strike, vigilance, and whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. Okay, so we've got, you can see the weeping angels everywhere in that picture. Unleash the Flux is a phenomenon. When you encounter Unleash the Flux, each player sacrifices a non-land permanent. Then you flip a coin. If you lose the flip, repeat this process. Then planeswalk away from this phenomenon. We've got the Matrix of Time on the plane of Gallifrey. When you planeswalk to the Matrix of Time, each player exiles the top card of their library. During your turn, you may play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled with the Matrix of Time. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell from among cards exiled with the Matrix of Time, that card's owner loses 3 life and exiles the top card of their library. And whenever chaos ensues, create 2 treasure tokens. Next we have Hotel of Fears. The plane is a spacecraft. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You lose life equal to its mana value. You may play that card this turn and praise him. Whenever chaos ensues, choose a color, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is your devotion to that color. Then sacrifice another creature. So your devotion to a color is the number of mana symbols of that color in the mana cost of permanents you control. Alright, and a Mondasian colony ship, another plane spacecraft. Whenever a creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other creature its controller controls that shares a creature type with it. And whenever chaos ensues, turn target creature face down. It becomes a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Alright, so some nice plane chase cards there. We'll set those aside. And let's get into the deck proper here. So let's see here. This looks like a little bit different way of getting into this than the others. I wonder why. And I can already see this is going to be an awesome deck, because we have Davros, Dalek Creator. So we've got a foil etched display commander. You'll notice the thicker card stock. So this is not something you would put in your deck. You're using it purely for display. Alright, so here he is again, the regular version of the card, Davros, Dalek Creator. It's a mythic legendary artifact creature, alien scientist, 3/4 for 1 blue, black, and red, has menace. At the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn. Then each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn faces a villainous choice. You draw a card, or that player discards a card. So I like the flavor of that one. Next up we have Missy, legendary creature, Time Lord Rogue, 4/5 for 3, blue, black, and red. Whenever another non-artifact creature dies, return it to the battlefield face down, tapped, under your control. It's a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Nice. So you're turning your opponent's creatures into Cybermen. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to that opponent, or you draw a card and chaos ensues. So that ties into the plane chase mechanic. Next up, we have an Auton Soldier. Okay, been a while since I've seen the Autons. Artifact creature, alien soldier, 0/0 for 4 and 2 blue. You may have Auton Soldier enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it isn't legendary, is an artifact in addition to its other types, and has Myriad. So that means whenever it attacks for each opponent other than defending player, you may put a token that's a copy of this creature onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Exile the tokens at end of combat. Alright, so let's grab a chunk of the deck here. We have the Flood of Mars. Creature, alien, zombie, horror, 3/3 for 2 and 2 blue, has Island Walk. And water always wins. Whenever the Flood of Mars attacks, put a flood counter on another target creature or land. If it's a creature, it becomes a copy of the Flood of Mars. And if it's a land, it becomes an island in addition to its other types. Okay, so that's pretty cool on flavor there. Cyber Conversion, instant for 2 blue. Turn target creature face down. It's a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. And I think I'll skip the flavor text. There's a whole lot in this set. Hunted by the Family. That's not creepy at all. Sorcery for 5 and 2 blue. Choose up to 4 target creatures you don't control for each of them. That creature's controller faces a villainous choice. That creature becomes a 1/1 white human creature and loses all abilities, or you create a token that's a copy of it. Then we have a Dalek Drone. Elevate. Artifact creature Dalek, 3/3 for 3 and 2 black. Flying and Menace, Exterminate. When Dalek Drone enters battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. That player loses 3 life. And that ties in with Davros's ability, so that's how that works. Vashta Narada. Creature, alien, horror, 1/1 for 2 and a black. Indestructible, and it has Shadow. So this creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with Shadow. Also has Morbid. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Vashta Narada. And Time Reaper. Creature, alien, horror, 4/4 for 3 and 2 black. Flying and Haste, has Consume Anomaly. Whenever Time Reaper deals combat damage to a player, put target face-up card they own in exile on the bottom of their library. If you do, you gain 3 life. And Doomsday Confluence. Sorcery 4X, X and a black. Choose X. You may choose the same mode more than once. Each player sacrifices a non-artifact creature. Create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with Menace, or each opponent discards a card. Alright, so not sure. Choose X. Okay, not sure how X ties into that one. We have the Toymaker's Trap enchantment for 2 and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, secretly choose a number between 1 and 5 that hasn't been chosen. If you do, an opponent guesses which number you chose, then you reveal the number you chose. If they guessed wrong, they lose life equal to the number they guessed, and you draw a card. If they guess right, sacrifice the Toymaker's Trap. And what is this? Vizlor Turlo. Legendary creature rogue, 2/5 for 3 and a black. Deal with the Black Guardian, so when Vizlor Turlo enters the battlefield, you may have an opponent gain control of it. If you do, it's goaded for as long as they control it. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then you lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. And this one can be the Doctor's Companion. We have Genesis of the Daleks, Enchantment Saga for 4 and 2 black. So on the first, second, and third turns, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with Menace for each lore counter on Genesis of the Daleks. And on the fourth turn, target opponent faces a villainous choice. Destroy all Dalek creatures and each of your opponents loses life equal to the total power of Daleks that died this turn, or destroy all non-Dalek creatures. That is a pretty vicious card. This is how it ends. Oh no, Rory, watch out. Instant for 3 and a black. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library, then faces a villainous choice. They lose 5 life, or they shuffle another creature they own into their library. And Death in Heaven. It's a enchantment saga for 3 and a black. On the first and second turns, target player mills 2 cards and exiles their graveyard. On the third turn, put all creature cards exiled with Death in Heaven onto the battlefield face down under your control. They're 2/2 Cyberman artifact creatures. And delete. Sorcery for X and 2 red. Delete deals X damage to each non-artifact creature and each player. And we have Ensnared by the Mara. Sorcery for 2 and 2 red. Each opponent faces a villainous choice. They exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. Then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Or that player exiles the top 4 cards of the library, and Ensnared by the Mara deals damage equal to the total mana value of those exiled cards to that player. We got Day of the Moon, Enchantment Saga for 2 and a red. So on the first, second, and third turns, choose a creature card name, then goad all creatures with a name chosen for Day of the Moon. And the Master Multiplied, one of the big Doctor Who villains here. Legendary creature, Time Lord Rogue, 4/3 for 4 black and red, has Myriad. The Legend rule doesn't apply to creature tokens you control. Triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile creature tokens you control. And the Master Mesmerist, legendary creature, Time Lord Rogue, 3/3 for 2 blue and black. Tap target creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the Master's power. Gains Skulk until end of turn. Goad it. So a creature with Skulk can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Whenever a creature with Skulk deals combat damage to one of your opponents, put a +1/+1 counter on the Master and draw a card. Rassilon, the War President, legendary creature, Time Lord Noble, 3/4 for 3 blue and black. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life and exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Each non-creature spell you cast from exile has Conspire. So, as you cast that spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, copy it, and you may choose new targets for the copy. The Master Gallifrey's End, legendary creature, Time Lord Rogue, 4/3 for 2 black and red. Make them pay. Whenever a non-token artifact creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, choose an opponent with the most life among your opponents. That player faces a villainous choice. They lose 4 life, or you create a token that's a copy of that card. And the Veil Yard, legendary creature, Time Lord Noble, 4/5 for 2 blue, black, and red. If an opponent would face a villainous choice, they face that choice an additional time. Awesome. While voting, you may vote an additional time. And Weeping Angel, artifact creature, Alien Angel, 2/2 for 1 blue and black. Has Flash, First Strike, and Vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, Weeping Angel isn't a creature until end of turn. And if Weeping Angel would deal combat damage to a creature, prevent that damage, and that creature's owner shuffles it into their library. The Beast, Deathless Prince, legendary creature, demon, 6/6 for 2 black and red. When you cast a spell, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it. It gains menace and haste until end of turn. The Beast enters the battlefield tapped with 6 stun counters on it. So if it will become untapped, remove a stun counter from it instead. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to its owner, untap the Beast and draw a card. We got the Rani, legendary creature, Time Lord Scientist, 3/4 for 1 blue, black, and red. Whenever the Rani enters the battlefield or attacks, create a red aura enchantment token named Mark of the Rani attached to another target creature. That token has enchant creature, and enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever a goaded creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, investigate. And a Sycorax Commander, creature, Alien Soldier, 4/2 for 2 black and red. First Strike and Haste. Sanctified rules of combat. When Sycorax Commander enters the battlefield, each opponent faces a villainous choice. That opponent discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many cards, -1, or Sycorax Commander deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand. That is brutal. And the Cyber Controller, legendary artifact creature, Cyberman, 3/3 for X, 2 blue and black. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent mills X cards. Put all creature cards milled this way onto the battlefield face down under your control. They're 2/2 Cyberman artifact creatures. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Alright, and let's grab some more of the deck here. We have Cult of Skaro, legendary artifact creature, Dalek, 4/4 for 1 blue, black, and red. Whenever Cult of Scarrow attacks, choose one at random. They put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. What is that? Khan, draw 2 cards. Sec, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace. Or Jast, each opponent loses 4 life. And the Dalek Emperor, legendary artifact creature. Dalek, 6/6 for 5, black and red. Affinity for Daleks, that's cool. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each Dalek you control. Other Daleks you control have haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player sacrifices a creature they control, or you create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace. And Ashad, the Lone Cyberman, legendary artifact creature Cyberman, 3/3 for 1, blue, black, and red. The first non-legendary artifact spell you cast each turn has Casualty 2. So as you cast it, you may sacrifice a creature with power 2 or greater. When you do, copy it. A copy of an artifact spell becomes a token. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Ashad, the Lone Cyberman. And Blink, one of the best episodes of the show. Enchantment Saga for 2 blue and black. On the first and second turns, choose target creature. Its owner shuffles it into their library, then investigates. So they create a clue token. On the second and fourth turns, okay, so it was first and third, and then second and fourth, create a 2/2 black alien angel artifact creature token with first trait vigilance, and whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. The Master, he's back again. The Master formed a new legendary creature, Time Lord Rogue 0/1 for blue and black, has Body Thief. When you cast a spell, you may exile a creature you control and put a takeover counter on it. You may have the Master formed anew enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature card in exile with a takeover counter on it. And we have Cybermen Squadron, artifact creature Cyberman, 5/5 for 7. Non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. So we learned about Myriad earlier. Cybership, artifact vehicle, 8/8 for 6 with flying. Whenever Cybership deals combat damage to a player, put the top 2 cards of that player's library onto the battlefield face down under your control. They're 2/2 Cyberman artifact creatures. You can crew it for 4. Wound Reflection, enchantment for 5 and a black. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. So damage causes loss of life. Blasphemous Act, sorcery for 8 and a red. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. It deals 13 damage to each creature. That is also pretty brutal. And here we have the Sad Robot, Solemn Simulacrum, artifact creature Golem, 2/2 for 4. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When Solemn Simulacrum dies, you may draw a card. The Sound of Drums, enchantment aura for 2 and a red. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature is goaded, and if an enchanted creature will deal combat damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. That's crazy. For 2 and a red, return the Sound of Drums from your graveyard to your hand. River of Tears, it's a land, tap 4 blue mana. If you played a land this turn, add black instead. And Foreboding Ruins, it's a land. As it enters battlefield, you may reveal a swamp or mountain card from your hand. If you don't, Foreboding Ruins enters battlefield, tap 4 black or red. Shadowblood Ridge, a land, pay 1 tap, add black and red. Smoldering Marsh, tap for black or red. It enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Temple of Deceit enters battlefield tapped. When it enters battlefield, scry 1, tap 4 blue or black. Choked Estuary, a land. As it enters battlefield, you may reveal an island or swamp card from your hand. If you don't, it enters battlefield tapped. Tap 4 blue or black. And Sunken Hollow, tap 4 blue or black. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Darkwater Catacombs, pay 1 tap, add blue and black. Fetid Pools, tap for blue or black, enters tap, cycle it for 2. Temple of Malice enters battlefield tapped. When it enters battlefield, scry 1, tap for black or red. And Canyon Slough, tap for black or red, enters battlefield tapped, cycle it for 2. And Exotic Orchard. It's a land. Tap to add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Temple of Epiphany enters tapped when it enters battlefield. Scry 1, tap 4, blue or red. And Frostboil Snarl. As it enters battlefield, you may reveal an island or mountain card from your hand. If you don't, it enters battlefield tapped, tap 4, blue or red. Storm Carved Coast enters tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap 4, blue or red. And Fiery Islet, tap, pay 1 life, add blue or red, pay 1, tap, sack it, draw a card. We got the Lava Claw Reaches. Enters battlefield tap, tap for black or red, or for 1 black and red. Until end of turn, it becomes a 2/2 black and red elemental creature with pay X. This creature gets plus X, plus 0 until end of turn. It's still a land. Then we have Shipwreck Marsh, another land. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap 4, blue or black. Drowned Catacomb enters tapped unless you control an island or swamp. Tap 4, blue or black. Haunted Ridge enters tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap 4, black or red. And Dragon Skull Summit enters tapped unless you control a swamp or mountain. Tap 4, black or red. Creeping Tar Pit enters tapped, tap 4, blue or black. For 1 blue and black, it becomes a 3/2 blue and black elemental creature until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. It's still a land. Gallifrey Council Chamber enters battlefield, surveil 1, so that means look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard, and this is a legendary land. Tap 4, colorless, tap to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a Time Lord or alien spell or activate an ability of a Time Lord or alien. Renegade Silent. These guys were creepy. Creature, alien, horror, 3/3 for 3 and a blue. At the beginning of your end step, goad up to 1 target creature you don't control and put a +1/+1 counter on Renegade Silent. Renegade Silent phases out. So treat it and anything attached to it as though they don't exist until your next turn. Zygon Infiltrator. Creature, alien, shapeshifter, soldier, 3/2 for 2 and a blue, has body print. So for 2 and a blue, tap another target creature and put a stun counter on it. Zygon Infiltrator becomes a copy of that creature for as long as that creature remains tapped. Activate only as a sorcery. And Don't Blink. Instant for 1 and a blue. Until end of turn, if 1 or more creatures would enter the battlefield from exile, or after being cast from exile, their owners shuffle them into their libraries instead. Cycle for 2. And Exterminate. Sorcery for 2 and a black, has Replicate. Tap an untapped Dalek you control. And when you cast the spell, copy it for each time you paid its Replicate cost. You may choose new targets for the copies. And destroy a target creature its controller loses 3 life. So again, triggering Davros. Okay, next up, we have a Dalek Squadron. Artifact creature Dalek, 3/3 for 2 and a black, has Menace and Myriad. And Sontaran General creature alien soldier, 5/5 for 4 and a red, has Trample and Haste and Battalion. Whenever Sontaran General and at least 2 other creatures attack for each opponent, goad up to 1 target creature that player controls. Those creatures can't block this turn. Great Intelligence's Plan. Sorcery for 4 blue and black. Draw 3 cards. Then target opponent faces a villainous choice. Say discard 3 cards or you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana costs. That is awesome. Cyberman Patrol. Artifact creature Cyberman, 2/2 for 2. Artifact creatures you control have Afflict 3. So whenever a creature with Afflict 3 becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. Cybermat. Artifact creature robot, 2/1 for 2, has Skulk, and whenever it attacks and isn't blocked, it gets +X +0 until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking artifact creatures. We got a Clockwork Droid. Artifact creature robot, 3/1 for 2. You may exert Clockwork Droid. As it attacks. When you do, it can't be blocked this turn, and you scry 1. Midnight Crusader Shuttle. Artifact vehicle, 3/4 for 4, has Midnight Entity. So whenever it attacks, defending player faces a villainous choice. That player sacrifices a creature, or you gain control of a creature of your choice that player controls until end of turn. If you gain control of a creature this way, tap it and it's attacking that player. Crew for 2. And a laser screwdriver. Okay, bit different than the Sonic. Artifact for 3, tap to add 1 mana of any color, or pay 1 tap, tap target artifact, or pay 2 tap, surveil 1, or pay 3 tap, goad target creature. Arcane Signet, artifact for 2, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Soul Ring, there it is. You were waiting for this, weren't you? Artifact for 1, tap to add 2 colorless. Thought Vessel, artifact for 2, you have no maximum hand size, tap for colorless. And Mind Stone, we've got the Cyberman head here, artifact for 2, tap for colorless, for 1 tap, sack it, draw a card. Lightning Greaves, artifact equipment for 2, equipped creature has haste and shroud, so that means it can't be the target of spells or abilities. Equip for 0. Propaganda, enchantment for 2 and a blue, creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Feed the Swarm, sorcery for 1 and a black, destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's mana value. And Snuff Out, instant for 3 and a black. If you control a swamp, you may pay 4 life. Rather than pay this spell's mana cost, destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. Commander's Sphere, artifact for 3, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, or you can sacrifice it and draw a card. Wayfarer's Bauble, artifact for 1, for 2, tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Talisman of Dominance, artifact for 2, tap for colorless, tap to add blue or black, it deals 1 damage to you. And Talisman of Indulgence, artifact for 2, tap for colorless, or tap for black or red, it deals 1 damage to you. Command Tower, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, so another land there. Terramorphic Expanse, another land, tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. Alright, so we're on the home stretch here. We got a Thriving Moor. It's another land, enters battlefield, tap, as it enters battlefield, choose a color other than black. Tap for adding black or 1 mana of the chosen color. Path of Ancestry, a land, enters battlefield, tap, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. And Temple of the False God. It's another land. Tap for 2 colors. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. Reliquary Tower. You have no maximum hand size. Tap for colorless. So that's the second card in this deck with that ability. Crumbling Necropolis. Another land, enters battlefield. Tap, tap for blue, black, or red. And Ominous Cemetery, a land, tap for colorless, for 5, tap, exile it. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. Okay, so now we've got some basic lands with our TARDIS. So some nice islands, 2 of those, swamps, we have 2 of those, and mountains, we have 2 of those. And now the tokens, we have a treasure token. So you tap, sack this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. On the other side, we got a 3/3 Dalek with Menace. We're going to need a ton of those for this deck. A Clue token. Pay 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. On the other side, a Copy token. An Alien Angel, 2/2 token artifact creature. Alien Angel, first strike and vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. And we got the 3/3 Dalek on the other side. Angel... and a Cyberman, 2/2. So we learned about those earlier. Alien Angel and Mark of the Rani. So this one's a token enchantment or an enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Got the Angel again and a Copy token. Clue token and a Dalek. Mark of the Rani and a Dalek. Another Cyberman and Mark the Rani. Okay, I guess you're going to be using that a lot. Cyberman and a Dalek. And parts of the turn. Popular Magic formats. And that is the deck. So actually this one looks quite fun. We've got the villainous choice. So you're giving your opponents a choice of how they get hosed. So that's fun. We got the abilities here that tie into the Commander Davros and a whole bunch of awesomeness. Let me know in the comments what you think of this deck. And stay tuned, we'll be getting stuck into the remaining Commander deck shortly. And if you've missed any of the Doctor Who videos so far, link in the corner, check out the complete playlist. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there. Thanks for watching and have a great day.